How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm taking a look at a game called Defense of Greece TD. Now, one can only assume that the TD stands for Tower Defense, as the description of this game is a game of the genre Tower Defense. So as you can see, the bar is set rather low right from the start. Now, what is this game about? Well, apparently it's supposed to be about defending Greece. You can see the little islands here that make up the various islands, I guess, are surrounding Greece, and that is basically where the theme ends, because you'll notice that the soldiers look more Roman, I would say, than Greek. Like here we have the Praetorian look with the horsehair helmet and everything, and the equipment in the game, if we take a look at the various stuff, it's very steampunk, I guess you could call it. It's obviously not of the era of, Greece. What, that sounds dumb. But it is not from that time period. So it's a tower defense game, and as you can see here, I'd say it takes more than a hint from more popular games such as Kingdom Rush, and it's not bad. It introduces a couple of new things to the overall play strategy, but there are a lot of problems with it. So I pointed out the various weapons already. Not many. It has 4 basically. We have the ballista, which is for anti-air. We have the mortar, which is anti-infantry. And you have the Thunderer, which is basically anti-special units. Then there's also the Freezer, which is not very originally named. The Freezer just simply slows down units. And there's one I haven't unlocked yet. I'm not exactly sure if you can unlock it or not. Like I've pointed out here, I've probably played about half through the game. So if I don't unlock it by this point, you're sort of missing out on the opportunity to allow players to upgrade it, because a lot of these do need to be upgraded. What you have are basically 5 different pieces. One is a star, one is a hexagon, a circle, a square, and a triangle. And every time you complete a mission, you're going to get a few more of these pieces. And once you get enough of them, you can go into the upgrades menu and combine them to upgrade your equipment. For example, here I have all of my equipment fully upgraded. And the reason for this is there is quite a nice little exploit in the game. There are multiple ones, but this is especially interesting. So obviously the game was originally a tower defense game that was on mobile. I'm not exactly sure if it ever came to iOS. I couldn't find it on there, but obviously it was on Android for sure. And you can see the game was not very well ported over to PC from that Android. And one of the remaining mechanics of its mobile days is the fact that you can actually buy gems. I mean, the gems is still a currency. You're going to need it to upgrade various things. Let's take a look here. If I wanted to upgrade, yeah. For example, these are special dynamite. They're just called items. These are items that you can use on the map dynamically to assist your tower defense buildings against, particularly difficult groups of enemies, obviously. So yeah, you can upgrade them, and they require gems to upgrade. You can get gems by completing missions, and you can also get them from completing certain quests like this. Alternatively, you can buy them. And apparently that was removed once they started charging about $6 for the game on Steam. It was no longer supported by microtransactions. So they tried to get rid of them, but it wasn't all that effective. So if you go to right here, the microtransactions, you got the treasure chest. And this is how you can break the game essentially. Right here you can buy various power-ups. And if you run out of these power-ups, you're going to be able to buy more using gems, and that's sort of one of the ways the players fund the business model of the game. However, once I run out of gems, it's going to take a while. I might actually like run into some buffer overflow issue right here. Here we go, 1,500. Let's do these. I'm running out of gems. Oh, and here we have the shop, and there I just got more gems. Nope, I need to stop clicking so quickly. Okay, let's do this slowly. If you run out of gems, it's going to bring the shop up where you can buy more gems. But you get them for free. For example, if I click on this 30,000 gems, instant transaction. So I can automatically get all those gems for free. And you could say, well, if you were actually cared about playing the game as it should be played, do not exploit it, right? Yeah, that's true. But the problem that I see is that it shows a lack of effort on the part of the developer to actually move this game properly over to Steam. It does not have achievements. It doesn't have cards. It has a campaign, but it is very poorly translated. The developer, I believe, is Russian, and I've pointed out good Russian developers. For example, the Blood of November game, where the developer actually made an effort to translate the text into English. But in this case, it is not, and the story is pretty bad because of it, but it is not incomprehensible. You can understand what's going on. So aside from that bug, we also have the battle, the troops. Here you have the credits, obviously. And now this button is interesting. It's a play button, and it says, do you want to lose all progress of the game? Caution, this action cannot be undone. Why would you have a reset button visualized as a play button? That is just misleading as all hell. And I, for one, do not understand the logic behind it. Is it in Russia, the play button, does that symbol, a little triangle on its side, does that mean reset? Because in my country, it doesn't mean that. And like I said, I've reset everything. Obviously, it wasn't a big deal. It was at the very beginning. It does reset everything. You're not going to get it back. Since I can just grab gems for free, it's not a big deal. So I think I've pretty much covered everything in the main menu, or quests. Yeah, I covered that. So let's jump into a mission right here. We can obviously, they want to promote their shop. You can buy a shop, you can upgrade your weapons. I already upgraded all of mine because I just went ahead and bought all the materials for it. So let's start a battle and see where it goes. It does take longer to load than I think it should, given how rather simple, relatively simple the game is. So here we have one of the two main characters. I believe you are playing the general. He has more Roman garb, I think, than Greek garb, so maybe the developer just didn't realize it. I have no idea. I think all of the art assets are original, so it just seems like a major oversight. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is how the Greeks dressed, but just the impression that I get at first glance is that this dude is Roman, not Greek. So that's my opinion. The Greek helmets, they don't have the horsehair bit on top of it, and they generally have more of a full face. That's the stereotypical Greek helmet that you see a lot of times portrayed as being endemic to the Greek culture, if you can call it. It's a warrior culture, obviously, so... Anyway, here we get a bit more of the narrative. This is part of the story. He's telling us stuff. Usually there's an engineer that chimes in, but she wasn't here this time. Their dialogue is clunky for probably two reasons. One, the story is actually a little bit questionable, not in any ethical way, but as in the reasoning behind why everything is happening. Why all of a sudden this amazing technology has burst upon the ancient Greek world. I'm not buying it, I guess you could say. But once the story is over, then it's time to actually get down to business and start building some defenses. Now you can click trees. Some of them are removable. The ones that bounce are. Other ones are just static, and like that one, I can't click to remove that one. So I really don't understand the logic behind this, really. It's because who isn't going to go ahead and just harvest all the trees right from the beginning? You might as well just give people the money to begin with. It's not all that challenging, but I guess it adds a unique element to the game. Now, obviously, the enemy are coming from this part up here, and I'm also going to assume from the left, although they could, I think they would just come from the left. And obviously, it would be going towards the right. It looks like they can also come down this river, so the ideal place to start building defenses would likely be at this crossroads, this intersection right here, because then we could nail the ones coming from all three directions. So I'm going to build a freezer right there. Is it just called a freezer? I think it's just called a freezer. You can tell there isn't a whole lot of information. Like if you click this, if you click on it again, you can upgrade it. It doesn't tell you exactly what the upgrade does. It just upgrades it. It'll give you a level 1 insignia for it. And then I'm also going to add, that's an interesting location. I'm going to add a ballista there, which is anti-air. I'm going to be adding a mortar here, I think. And then on this area, we're going to put mostly what are these things called? Thunderers. They're basically like the Tesla of a lot of tower defense games. And now we can start our first wave. So here we go. Let's speed this up a little bit. You can pause the game, but you really can't do anything while it's paused. You can also, there are two different speeds, so that's that. Here we can try some different stuff. These are all power-ups, essentially, is what they are. Some of them are free and some of them are limited. Some of them you buy with gems. For example, these first three here are things you would buy with gems. So for example, the Rain of Fire, that's a gem purchase. So if you're not, if you obviously weren't using this version of the game where you can just get unlimited amounts of this stuff, you'd have to be paying money to use stuff like this. And that's where a lot of the money is going to be generated from the game, is getting people to pay for these upgrades so they can get through different missions. Now, the other ones are actually these just general power-ups. Like right here's a Tesla. It's very effective against everything. And the funny thing is you don't even have to wait for the cooldown. You can just keep using it over and over again. So right here's an example of another terrible bug in the game. I'm going to assume that this wasn't available in the mobile version of the game because it would be incredibly game-breaking. It would ruin the entire business model of the game because you can just essentially blast everything with the lightning just over and over again. And there's really no limit to it. And it's very effective. It's very powerful, especially compared to the rest of stuff. Like there are these little mines you can plant. Let's see if we can do that. I can't plant them for some reason. Why is that? There we go. They'll lay in wait until an enemy goes by, but they don't deal nearly as much damage as the Tesla sparks right here do. And there's also the mortar, like a nuke. Doesn't do much damage either overall. But the different enemies, I mean, it is a traditional tower defense. It is what I would expect largely from a tower defense. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed in what it turned out to be. The perspective on it is a little bit off. I think I would have gone for a slightly different isometric perspective on everything, but it works. And I think that is something that a lot of these games don't do, these really low effort games. This one does. So it's not all bad, but I don't necessarily like the lack of interest shown in the game by the developer. It leads me to believe that the game will not be improved from here on out. It is not in early access anymore. It is considered a fully released product at this point. And right here you can see some nice little bird guys going by. You know, you got the Leonardo da Vinci, you know, what are they called? Simple machine kind of stuff going on there. And I also obviously need ballistas to take care of those. But what I was saying more to the point is that I really don't have any confidence in the developer fixing any of these bugs. There have been several issues brought up to this point on the forum in Steam for the game, and none of them really have had the issue addressed. The developer has, I think, responded to just one query, and they really didn't say that they were going to fix anything. It was just basically telling them that the person was wrong about their conclusion or something to that effect. I'm sorry if I misrepresented that statement, but it just strikes me that this is the end product. You're not going to be seeing any improvements from here. It doesn't have a lot of what usually attracts the players to these type of games, which are very easy to get achievements if you're achievement farming, or very quick cards. You know, you can spend a little bit of money, especially when they bundle games like this, and then you get more money off of the cards than you ever spent on the game. Because Steam has a built-in system that involves getting Steam credit for selling stuff like cards. Steam trading cards. You can sell it and then you can buy more games with your Steam credit, or there are illegal, I should point out, services that allow you to exchange your Steam credit for PayPal by using, for example, Team Fortress keys. And you buy a whole bunch of Team Fortress keys with your Steam credit, and then you simply contact a dealer who will send you money via PayPal for those keys. Obviously, you can get scammed in the process of this, but there are plenty of people who end up cashing out on that, and that's how they make money. Obviously not enough, it's just pocket money, beer money as they call it. So that mission is over with, 8 out of 8 rounds. Obviously the game would be more challenging if I just couldn't cheat blatantly to get through it, but you know me. I will generally favor the quick way through a game just to see what it's about, rather than trying to actually beat it on very difficult settings. That is not what this series is about. If you think that I'm going to be giving you in-depth reviews of how the game works at its highest levels, you're going to be in for a bad time, because I really don't have time to do all the research that's required. We get a little bit more about the narrative here, and then that's pretty much victory. I have never gotten anything short of 3 stars, obviously, because I've been playing with the best equipment. But you can see you get gems, you get stars. I'm not sure what the stars are for. They really don't unlock anything new as far as I'm aware. So it has more than a nod to Kingdom Rush in my opinion, and by and large it is competent. The game does hold up. The problem is largely the lack of support and the number of current bugs, and I also feel that the game is currently balanced for free to play on mobile with microtransactions, and not enough was done to actually balance it as a paid game on Steam. So, take that for what it's worth. I personally wouldn't play it, but others of you might be interested in some more Kingdom Rush tower defense style gameplay, and I think this game does a fair enough job of holding up to that, given the price. It's not very expensive. It's about $6, like I pointed out, which, you know, given the relative stability of it, it's a solid game. It's not an asset flip, I guess, is my point. You know, the nerve of some people to try to just stick any old crap on Steam to get a quick buck. And I'm glad that the developer clearly put some effort in. I just think that they could do a little bit more. They could offer a little bit more support, a little bit more rebalancing of some of the free-to-play systems that are no longer relevant because the game is paid, and fix those bugs, so especially the obvious ones. There are probably bugs I don't know about, but the really blatant ones should not exist in this game, in my opinion. So anyway, that is Defense of Greece TD, a game of the genre, quote-unquote, tower defense. So thank you very much for watching, as always, and I hope to see you next time.